This is a special edition of PFTPM, and it's very rare that I do it this time of day, interrupting my workout routine and eventually my dinner, and a night that is usually a lot more relaxing and less hectic than the daytime. But I decided this needed to be addressed before tomorrow's PFT Live. And obviously, it relates to the stunning decision by the Hall of Fame voters to keep Bill Belichick out on his first try at enshrinement. And I organized my thoughts with another one of the cards that I stole from NBC. But again, I only use them for things like this, so it's not really stealing. First issue, and I've had concerns about the Hall of Fame voting process for years. I don't want to be a voter. They'll never offer me a spot. I've been critical of how they've done things, whether it's a standard that is amorphous and changes, different categories pop up. Remember, for the 100th anniversary of the Hall of Fame, they had this supersized class to clean up all the ones who should have gotten in the past but didn't. I just don't like the rules are subject to change in any given year. I don't like that. I think they make plenty of mistakes that are driven by the simple fact that they don't like certain candidates. I remember debating aggressively with Gary Myers, however many years ago it was, about Terrell Owens not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Some of the arguments that were made were laughable. They just didn't like him, or not enough people liked him or were able to set aside whatever personal feelings they had to put him in. Owens should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, period. And that leads me to Bill Belichick, without question. I mean, this is one of the no-brainer, mic drop, no need for discussion. I've argued in the past that those are the only people that should even get in. It's too late for that, though, because too many have gotten in under a lower standard. Some, you don't need a debate. Some, we just say, all right, on to the next candidate for discussion. Belichick is one of those guys. The fact that there are people who believe otherwise or see this as a way to act out some sort of belated revenge against someone that they don't like or couldn't compete effectively against or accuse of cheating. You know, the whole cheating thing, and I'm going to get to that. I actually have that. That's next on my list. Let's get there. I wrote in Playmakers that one of the explanations for the constant accusations of cheating against the Patriots flows from the conversations that happen within organizations when owners want to know, why can't you beat them? And I don't need to get into specific teams or owners or executives who are in those conversations, but the thinking is that the easy explanation is, well, they cheat. Guess what? Everybody's cheating. Everybody's doing something they shouldn't do. They're doing stuff they can get away with. Tampering is rampant in the NFL. All sorts of things happen that shouldn't happen. The question is, who gets caught? And the Patriots have had 3 cheating scandals. I don't want to minimize it, but let's be realistic about it. Spygate, that's on Belichick. He misinterpreted accidentally or intentionally a rule regarding recording the hand signals that were being made by defensive coaches and then matching up the signals with the plays and cracking the code so when they would see the signals later, like, I don't even know how you make that work in real time, but it was against the rules and they got caught and it paid for it. The second Spygate, that was retracted by the Boston Herald, the notion that there was a secret video recording of the Rams walkthrough prior to Super Bowl 36. Like, that hit the fan right before Super Bowl 42, like the Friday before the game. And the league went into overdrive with an investigation, and eventually the Herald retracted the whole thing. So there's nothing there to Spygate 2. And Deflategate was a Tom Brady thing. Now, you know how I feel about Deflategate. And if you don't, I'll give you the quick summary. The NFL wanted to whack them, so they reached the result and worked backward to make the facts fit the conclusion they wanted to reach. Because I firmly believe, and I know Sims and I have argued about this from time to time, I firmly believe that the evidence on the day in question, the 2014 AFC Championship between the Colts and the Patriots, the measurements they took at halftime of the footballs, when we factor the conditions that were prevalent for the first 90 minutes of game time, it's not enough to come to the conclusion that someone deliberately took air out of the football so it didn't fall in this arbitrary range of 12.5 to 13.5 pounds per square inch. And regardless, Belichick did a masterful job of saying, I got nothing to do with that. Remember the press conference where he said, I'm not the Mona Lisa Vito of football inflation? That was all Brady. Belichick didn't get suspended. Brady did. So we got Spygate 1, and that's it. And that was 19 years ago. He won 3 Super Bowls after that. He won 3 Super Bowls after Deflategate hit the fan. That's not enough. That's not enough. But what it becomes is a way for people who don't like him for whatever reason to justify not putting him in. We can't beat him on the field, so let's stick it to him when we have a chance to make him wait. Let's make him wait. And in the report from Don Van Natta Jr. and Seth Wickersham of ESPN.com, one of the nuggets in there is that Bill Polian, who was one of Belichick's top enemies when they were vying throughout the first decade of this century for Super Bowl appearances, he's got a vote, and he reportedly suggested that because of the cheating, Belichick should have to wait a year. So he still gets in, he just has to wait a year. That's your punishment? He already got his punishment. He's either a Hall of Famer or he's not. This idea that we're going to use this process to act out whatever your reason, whatever the basis, it's baloney. He's either a Hall of Famer or he isn't. And if he's not a Hall of Famer, there's a lot of busts that need to be cleared out of the Hall of Fame if Belichick's not one. And I can say that despite having, an opinion that he can be a jerk at times. And he said some stuff about PFT, and we've gone back and forth about some things, and it's been a weird year for him, to say the least. But that doesn't diminish his credentials. It doesn't change the fact that he's a mic drop, first ballot, no discussion Hall of Famer. What this does also, by having Belichick teed up for the Hall of Fame and not getting in, he goes back into the pool with all the other coaches that are waiting. Well, no other coach should get in until Belichick does. So the logjam of deserving coaches who are yet to be included in the Hall of Fame, that's just going to continue to get even more clogged up. Mike Holmgren should be in. Mike Shanahan should be in, just to name a few. There are guys currently coaching that are going to be worthy to get in. It just slows everyone's process down for a year. I guess we'll wait until the 200th anniversary of the Hall of Fame and just clean it all up then. The Associated Press last year, without telling the voters, started disclosing all of our votes. Now, I was disclosing my own votes. I still think before you disclose everyone's votes, you need to tell them you're going to do it so they can make the assessment when they choose to accept the assignment that they're willing to let their votes be disclosed. Why aren't Hall of Fame votes disclosed? Why is it a secret? We know who's on the panel. It changes from time to time. And, speaking of that, the panel consists of people who don't even have jobs covering the NFL on an active basis. And I know you need to have a certain amount of historical element, and this has been going on for years. There have been people who were laid off from their jobs covering the NFL, could never find another job covering the NFL, doing other things, assigned to other beats, taking other jobs, and they're still voting on the Hall of Fame. There's too much of the good old boys club element to the Hall of Fame, which is conducive to all sorts of things happening that shouldn't happen. And as I've said time and again, and this is a line from Big Shield, no amount of power is abused like hardly any at all. And so for the folks who decide we're going to use this platform as a way to exact just a little measure of revenge against someone we don't like, congratulations. You got what you wanted, and you undermined the integrity of the Hall of Fame in the process. Great job. Great work. So yes, disclose all the votes. And I'd say anybody who voted against Belichick has disqualified themselves. I wrote this at PFT, and I believe it. If you voted against Belichick, you have no business holding a vote, because this is one of the people who should get in without conversation. Whatever you want to throw at him. And this idea that, maybe he's going to come back and coach in the NFL. I've had people suggest that nobody's going to hire him to coach in the NFL. This isn't about now. This is about his history. Even if he is going to come back, if anybody can transcend that, it's Bill Belichick. I mentioned earlier the whole idea that they've they've changed the standard. And see, they heard the criticism from folks like Deion Sanders that too many get in. The answer to that isn't make it harder in the future for people to get in. And now it is harder under the voting process. You need a higher percentage, and it's different than it used to be. And fewer people are getting in. That's not the way to deal with the fact that the bar was too low. The easy solution there is to create what we've called the Deion Sanders upper room, the Hall of Famers among the Hall of Famers, the guys who were the mic drop, no-brainer, best of the best. We have a list. We keep and we update it every year of the guys who are in that category. And Belichick would be in that category if he'd gotten in, and he should be in. And this is, I got 2 more points to make. Man, if I had a vote right now, I'd be sorely tempted to resign in protest. And I wonder if anyone's going to do it. Out of 50 voters, I wonder if someone is going to be sufficiently disgusted with this outcome that they say, I'm out. You all can deal with this crap without me. If I had a vote, and of course, this becomes dog chasing tail, because one of the reasons I don't have a vote is I think it's a bad process and I don't want to deal with it, and they don't want me anyway. But if I had a vote right now, I'd be very tempted to say, take your vote and shove it. Last point. I wonder what this means for both Robert Kraft and Tom Brady. Now, Kraft is a finalist. Someone knows right now whether he got enough votes or not. Man, it's going to be weird if he gets in. And he deserves to be in. Not at the same mic drop level as Belichick, but I made this case earlier today on PFT Live. Jerry Jones is in, Robert Kraft should be in, period. It's simple. If Jones is in, Kraft should be in. I just wonder whether or not someone or enough people, Polian or others who had to compete with the Patriots, decide that they're going to make Bob Kraft wait another year or two. And it's not quite so simple as waiting here. For players, you go up through the normal process. For the contributors, the coaches, et cetera, you have to make it through the committee. What if next year they decide, hey, you know what? They don't want to let Belichick in. Let's put somebody up that we think is going to get in. It just creates a very imperfect process. And the imperfections in the process were displayed no greater than today. Peter King said it best with a couple of F-bombs. He's no longer a voter, but he's shocked by the outcome. I'm shocked by the outcome. Many are shocked by the outcome. And I think the real story here is it shines a light on a process that needs to be reformed badly. But again, they got what they wanted. They stuck it to Bill Belichick. If we can't beat him, make him wait a year to get into the Hall of Fame. We'll see you on Wednesday morning for an all-new edition of PFT Live, where I have a feeling this topic might come up again. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.